Here we go, episode number 11 of the Kevin Rooke Show. Today, I had a chance to chat with Daniel Berezovsky of Smiles. Now, Smiles is probably one of the easiest ways to earn Bitcoin. Daniel's the co-founder there, and they let you earn Bitcoin for things like walking, just like literally walking down the street. You can play chess and earn Bitcoin. You can do shopping and earn Bitcoin. They have a few different products available right now. And we talked a lot about how Lightning is going to be integrated into some of these verticals. So into health, into gaming, into retail and shopping experiences. We also covered some of the important implications of things like Cash App integrating Lightning, which happened last night. Talked about some of the applications that Daniel finds most interesting in the Lightning space today. Overall, a great conversation on all sorts of Lightning topics. If you have questions during the show, open up Fountain or download it on the App Store if you don't use it today. Go listen to this podcast on Fountain, load your wallet with a few sats, and when you have questions, shoot them off, send them to me. I will read them and I will answer them at the end of the show in the lightning round. With that, I hope you enjoy the show and looking forward to seeing your questions in the lightning round. Daniel, thanks for joining me on the show today.
Hey, Kevin. Pleasure to be here.
Smiles is a really cool app. I've been using it for a little while. It's probably one of the easiest ways to earn Bitcoin that I've found to date. Talk to me a little bit about what Smiles is and why you decided to build it.
Right. So again, thanks for being on your show. Really happy to be here. So I guess maybe I can tell a bit of the background story originally, how it started and how we came up with Smiles. Maybe you've heard of the Bitcoin Lightning Conference, and the first Lightning Conference which actually happened was in Berlin at the end of 2019. And so my dad, Igor, went to that conference, and it was really a niche event. There weren't too many people, but it was extremely exciting. They were all very passionate, and some people paid with beer for Lightning. So it was he came back and was really enthusiastic about it. And so we were really thinking about, what kind of use cases can we build around that, which can see mass adoption. And because it was the first time something, you would hear of Bitcoin being scalable outside of the stored value or, digital gold. So, and we came up with Smiles. Smiles stands for Satoshi Miles, where we give people Bitcoin for their steps for walking. And on top of that, so because we try to lower the barrier to the bare minimum, literally you just have to walk, inside Smiles, you're kind of, we open a universe of other ways to earn Bitcoin, which is mainly shopping and games. And we have chess, where people get rewarded for their mental fitness. You get rewarded for your physical fitness by doing steps, and you can earn Bitcoin for shopping as well.
That's very cool. I want to dig into all those components, but maybe to start off, do you have any frameworks for thinking about how you compare different, or how you choose which ways people can earn sats or should earn sats? Like there's walking, there's chess, and there's shopping right now. Right. And I know you guys are working on other stuff. The three immediately don't seem to be like obviously correlated, right?
Right.
So like how do you think about what a user should be rewarded for and how to get more sats in people's hands?
Yeah, so we really realized that we have to lower the barrier to entry as low as possible. And for us, that was steps. We wanted to motivate people to be healthy. And, there's tons of studies out there by, the Mayo Clinic and many other research facilities. And it turns out if you can motivate people just to get to 10,000 steps a day, basically every parameter, every important health metric improves. So the risk of death significantly lowers. People sleep better. They don't get anxiety, depression lowers, and if you have diabetes, that improves your condition. So how can you improve? How can you get people to move? People are lazy and they don't really want to move. So for us, it was obvious that if we can pay them a small incentive in Bitcoin, we can get them to move. And our thesis actually proved correctly, which was important. So we see indeed sometimes when we increase Bitcoin rewards rate for their steps, people indeed walk more. So that was huge for us. And that is also like kind of a daily metric to get, or engagement incentive to get back into Smiles, just to log your steps and get the sats.
Right. So for anyone who hasn't used Smiles before, walk me through exactly what's required to earn sats for walking, because on the surface that seems like an incredible, like it's like a no-brainer, right? Like, why would you not do that if you're just walking? You're walking every day. Why not earn sats?
Exactly. I mean, why would you walk for free?
Exactly how someone. Yeah, how does someone do it? So they go download Smiles. What do they have to do to get set up there?
Right. So it's very simple. You just go in the App Store, look for Smiles, or Smiles Bitcoin, earn Bitcoin. We come up usually first, and just download the app, sign up with your email, and get walking. So, and then immediately after you open Smiles, after you walk, you will see a green animation. It says how many sats you've earned for your steps. And funnily enough, our users call it proof of walk, which we kind of adopted. We love that idea. So proof of work, proof of walk, it goes well together. And that's it.
Yeah.
So that's how they come in contact with Bitcoin. And I think one of the most interesting things is very often, for the first time, users come in contact with Bitcoin with Smiles, and for sure for the first time with Lightning. So we onboard lots of Lightning users as well. And once they're inside Smiles, they discover that they can play chess. They see a fortune wheel. They see that they can shop and earn Bitcoin cashback. So kind of the steps part is an entry gateway to a universe of earning Bitcoin.
Right. And, that's an interesting angle, the steps, because I imagine there's, when you're talking about like the health benefits of it, I imagine there are people in the world and companies, institutions that would benefit tremendously if they could incentivize people to get healthier.
Yeah.
Insurers, health insurance comes to mind as a first kind of like, potential counterparty to work with on this. Have you guys thought about how to kind of like keep people directly accountable for how many steps they're walking, and like tie it in with some of the other services that could like improve their lives and stuff like that?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So we had actually health insurances and other health tech players reach out to us because for them it's if they can incentivize people to walk and reduce claims, that's huge for them, because even one claim a year to an insurance is sometimes thousands of dollars or more, and it's a huge industry in the US. It's a $1 trillion industry a year, and globally it's I think approaching 3 trillion. So obviously, if health insurances can motivate their users to walk more, there will be less claims and people will be healthy. So we see all kinds of synergies there. I think we've proven our case that people walk more when they get incentivized with Bitcoin, and so we are definitely open for all kinds of health collaborations or fitness brands, etc., who want to really incentivize people to be healthy.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'd be really cool if I could, get half off health insurance if I prove that I'm, walking 10,000 steps a day, or if I'm, maybe get a discount on a gym membership if I prove that I'm showing up every day and that I'm going to be like a engaged member of a community.
Right.
I think there's a lot of really interesting possibilities to build on there. But that's an interesting starting point. Talk to me a little bit about the other applications right now on Smiles. So you can walk, and that's kind of like an entry gateway. Talk to me about chess and the kind of gaming aspect, and where you see that headed.
Yeah, so we thought about physical fitness and mental health fitness. And so my dad, Igor, he is an international chess master. And basically, that's how why we basically decided to integrate chess. People can solve chess puzzles and play against a chess AI. And if they win or solve the puzzle successfully, they get a tiny reward in Bitcoin. So, and we see actually surprisingly a lot of engagement there. I think it definitely surprised me to see that, it's actually one of the most popular features on Smiles, aside from steps, that people actually play chess and get those little sats rewards for solving puzzles or playing chess. So for us, physical fitness and mental fitness was kind of went well together, and we decided to integrate chess as the first important game on Smiles, but there will be others to follow.
Yeah. And when you're thinking about getting people on board to Smiles, what do you think is the hardest part right now? Because all this stuff you're saying right now sounds like, if I'm a chess player, like, why am I not earning sats for that?
Right.
If I'm already playing chess on some mobile app, like, why am I not making money? If I'm already walking, why am I not making money? What are the challenges for you guys? What are the hardest parts of onboarding new users?
So we definitely had some technical things to solve where we are able to scale to a significant number of users. But so far, it's all of our growth, and it's been growing every month since we launched, has been organic. And I think so for sure that in this time period of the year, we will start with marketing efforts more aggressively and try to onboard as many users as we can. And so this is definitely key to get people actually to sign up to Smiles. And once they sign up, they actually use it.
Yeah. Now, in your mind, is there a sweet spot for how many sats you have to give away for someone to be excited enough for them to participate, for them to engage? Because I think right now, when I go walking, I can earn up to 21 sats a day. Typically, I'm not very good at chess. I've played a few of the chess games. I don't think I've won a single game, but I've gotten a couple sats here and there from playing. How do you think about what the correct amount is to get someone engaged and to keep them engaged?
Right. So that's a very good question, because we've experimented with different, reward tiers. In the beginning, we were giving 100 sats, and then we lowered it because the price of Bitcoin increased, and we tried to adjust. Surprisingly, I think the sweet spot for us is, the base of 21 sats. I guess we can definitely increase it. That's one part. And the second part is we noticed that's one feature which actually we'll be rolling out soon, is if users hit 10,000 steps every day, we give additional rewards. So if you hit 10,000 steps, especially multiple days in a row, so our most active and healthy users will be rewarded most. Yeah, that's our focus for now. And the sweet spot is for us at least 21 sats, but it can go up more.
Yeah. And how do you guys think about like preventing like fraud or spam or bots or from gaming the system? Because I imagine if you're using like Apple's kind of health tracker to see how many steps you're doing, is it possible for someone to come in and just pretend to be a human and not actually walk?
Yeah, so that's a very important consideration, because indeed, we had some users who were sending us fake data, fake steps, etc. And we have actually, built up our security system significantly since we started, because in the beginning, we didn't think it would be that big of a problem, but quickly it became clear that, a small percentage of users, once you give out free Bitcoin, basically, people will, try to exploit it in so many ways. So we've ramped out our security, and I cannot say that it's 100% certain that we can guarantee every step is accurate, but as long as from our side it looks very organic, and every time we spot something where we see fake data or where anything is really suspicious, we usually just block the user.
Right, makes sense. Now, imagine a world where everyone is doing this. Everyone is playing a game to earn sats. Everyone is walking to earn sats. Everyone is shopping, earning sats. How big of a market is this? Like, how do you think about framing the addressable opportunity here?
So I think because Smiles is at the intersection of a couple different markets, we look at it from kind of multiple angles. So the first one is,
Sure.
We look at it as we are part of a rewards ecosystem where, there are all kinds of rewards apps which give you rewards for different things. even airline miles if you fly with an airline, or if you shop at Walmart, or you buy something from Starbucks, and you get those points. But every single one of those loyalty programs actually tries to kind of trick users into not getting the full value of what they're actually buying. So with sats or with Bitcoin, that's not the case, because if you own one sat, it never expires, right? So it's there's no expiry. You cannot inflate it. You cannot add more. One Satoshi is one Satoshi. So for us, one key market is loyalty or rewards. Then we are at the intersection of health, because of the steps part. And yeah, so for us, we see ourselves as kind of at the intersection of multiple markets. And so for sure, we believe that Bitcoin will eat away from the rewards industry. It's currently at around 200 billion a year, and Bitcoin will be substantially better. Plus, if you're getting rewards as dollar cashbacks, etc., you never know how many dollars are going to be printed today. So obviously, if you have something deflationary like Bitcoin, you have a huge advantage. And I think Bitcoin is going to really dominate in this space.
Yeah. And I guess rewards are also, not only are they a good market for Bitcoin to tackle, but specifically they're a great market for Lightning because they tend to come in smaller amounts. Like, you don't hear of many people getting rewarded for, $10,000 a day or something. It's not like these massive payments that, you would use like a wire transfer for in the fiat world. It's most often going to be like these smaller payments, right? Like your coupon at the grocery store, or your discount or your airline miles, or whatever it is, right?
Exactly, yeah.
They tend to be smaller ones.
Yeah.
So how do you think about, when you're tackling some of these big markets, do you think that the traditional companies in the markets are your big competitors? Do you think there are competitors within the Lightning ecosystem? How do you view competition, I guess?
So we don't view incumbents as real competition, because first of all, they're way too small. They have they're way too big. They're not going to be able to quickly execute on a thesis like we are doing, in our view. And so in terms of big existing running apps or health apps or rewards apps, they're probably going to be sticking to what they're doing, because that's a business model they know. They know how they're creating points or fake points, and if they're happy with it, they should do it. For us, our whole backend is built on Lightning, so just to replicate that is going to be extremely difficult. And in terms of, on the other side, in terms of Bitcoin companies or Lightning companies, we think many of these players are focused really on one niche, and they're so narrow that they're just focused on one specific use case. And on Smiles, just because we are lowering, the entry barrier so low that you just have to walk, and once you open Smiles, you see that there are so many other ways to earn Bitcoin. So if somebody thinks of, where can I earn Bitcoin today, what should come to mind is Smiles.
Right. And now, you mentioned a few of the easy ways to earn Bitcoin now. You mentioned there's going to be more in the future. Can you share any details on like what you think some of those new emerging use cases could look like?
Yeah. So I can share a little bit of our roadmap here. Definitely what we'll be building out, and we'll be launching it pretty soon, is where you'll be able to challenge your friend for sats and see who has walked more steps. So basically, for example, you and I, we submit to a challenge, and everybody commits 500 or 1,000 sats or more. And Smiles keeps track of how many steps we walk every day. And at the end of the challenge, so at the end of the 7 days, there's a winner, and the winner gets the whole pot. So we are integrating these social dynamics where you're able to challenge your friend for sats, and inside Smiles actually, kind of motivate each other to walk more, because nobody, even if it's 500 sats or 100 sats, nobody wants to lose against their friend, and especially, especially if they can walk more. So we want to create these competitive dynamics inside Smiles, and we are kind of excited for that part.
I wonder if you could also like almost keep people accountable by having people lock up funds in. I mean, maybe this might be met with a bit of pushback, but I think it would be an interesting idea or an experiment worth considering to see if you could almost like have someone voluntarily deposit funds.
Right.
Maybe I say, I'm on my New Year's resolution. I want to get fit and I want to work out every single day for the month. I can deposit some funds, lock them up, and Smiles can either if I'm not working out, if I'm not following my steps, maybe you slash the funds or take them or whatever.
Right.
But if I do work out and I succeed, you can almost hit me with a bonus, just like a give back on the amount I earn.
Yeah,
that could be an interesting.
It's very funny you're mentioning it. We actually discussed it in one of the recent meetings, and maybe we will roll out a feature like that. But it's a very interesting psychological process where you're kind of committing to yourself and challenging yourself. So you're locking up your funds, and if you win, you get a bonus. And if not, the company or you're taking the SAT. So you actually don't want to lose against a company too. So that's a very interesting I think play here.
Yeah, I think that could be a fun one.
Yeah.
In terms of the company's growth so far, I know you guys have. When did you guys launch actually? Was this year?
So we had. So now we're already in 2022. We basically launched at the very end of 2020, and so we are just to make it simpler. We launched in 2021, so we had over 12 months now of being live on the App Store and Google Play. And before that, we had a limited beta release where some users were able to sign up and give us initial feedback. So it was a small cohort of people, really usually Lightning enthusiasts. So that's publicly we launched in 2021.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, because you guys kind of burst onto the scene in the last few months. Can you talk to me about some of the interesting metrics or anything you guys are comfortable sharing in terms of like growth and metrics and stuff like that, for just to give people a sense of like how quickly people are onboarding to Smiles and how people are kind of finding it to earn sats?
Sure. So usually we onboard users organically. So it's either by friend referrals or they just find us on Twitter and other social platforms, sometimes from blog posts. And in terms of specific growth, I can say maybe percentage-wise, which is about 20 to 15 to 30% a month, depending on the month. So that's kind of our growth rate at the moment. And we think we can grow even more than that.
Yeah. Are you seeing any, like when El Salvador announced their Bitcoin law, now just yesterday we had Square, Cash App, announced that they are going to be integrating Lightning. Maybe that's a bit too early to tell, but have you seen in like past catalyst moments an uptick in growth, or has it been pretty steady over time?
I think so. The surprising thing for us was we saw, well, of course, most users from the US, but we saw lots of demand from Korea. So there were lots of Korean users, which we actually initially didn't expect, and they just came, I guess, through friend referrals and through recommendations. But for some reason, Korea was very strong. And in terms of specific moments, so I guess it's been more steady in that, there wasn't something like Bitcoin grew or Bitcoin crashed and suddenly we gain tons of users. I think contrary to that, when no matter the Bitcoin price, we keep onboarding new users. People just want to get more Bitcoin. So from that perspective, I think that's really interesting. And in terms of one specific catalyst, so that hasn't really happened for us.
Right. Yeah, so pretty steady over time.
Yeah.
And I mean, it makes sense that people want to earn Bitcoin, and people are going to be finding you through friends and finding easy ways to get more of it. The idea of Smiles kind of meets this play to earn business model that I've seen in a lot of gaming companies, right? Especially with your chest. Do you guys consider yourself play to earn? Do you like that term? What do you think about that whole kind of business model?
So play to earn, I think the whole idea of earning something for playing is great. So, back in the days, World of Warcraft and other games, you were able actually to collect, win digital items and digital currency, but that was always trapped inside the ecosystem. You could never actually take, your gold out of World of Warcraft or of any other game and use it anywhere else. So anytime you actually, created some value in a game, it was always trapped there. And until basically Bitcoin and Lightning specifically, you weren't able to, really pull out the value of you earn. So play to earn is great in my opinion. And on the other side, we have move to earn, right? So on Smiles or walk to earn. And so we see this new realm where people actually are able to monetize some of the data or the value they're creating is transformational. And Lightning, in my opinion, is really the best way to do that.
Now, for the companies that are not on board with play to earn yet, you think there eventually becomes a point where, if I'm Nintendo or if I'm like some traditional gaming company and I have not enabled play to earn, and all of a sudden some of the games and features outside in the broader Lightning space get pretty good, get to the point where users may start to shift towards those applications. Do you think that pushes everyone to move to this play to earn model? Like, do you think it's possible to, if this sees significant adoption, to remain play to not earn or play to earn in this like locked in economy? Do you think it transitions everyone to Bitcoin, or how will that competitive dynamic kind of play out?
That's also a very good question. So in my view, you just have to look at what young people are doing. And if you look at teenagers and people who are under 20, for them it's completely normal to play Fortnite or any other game and actually earn something in the game, right? Or they're probably actually earning the currency or buying a digital item, and to them actually sometimes having or holding paper currency is already something like a vinyl, or actually vinyls have a comeback. Maybe that's not the best example, but you know what I mean. So everybody who is still going to school or a young adult, they're used to actually creating some value inside a game, and once they're seeing all kinds of other games where they're able to not only earn in-game currency but something which they can use outside, that's, I think, businesses will realize that quickly. Once they see that they can form a business model outside around that, they will try to build specific games for that.
Yeah,
it's a matter of time, in my opinion.
If you had to guess, I don't know anyone knows the answer, but if you had to guess, is Lightning going to be more transformational and important and fundamental to gaming or retail? Because we're seeing a lot of play to earn games. We're seeing a lot of rewarding people for shopping. Which is going to be more transformational in your view?
So in my opinion, originally, it might be retail, because that's where people are spending money, or they're used to spend money, So whether it's online or the physical store and, get Bitcoin cashback on a Bitcoin cashback rewards credit card or online, that's going to be, and it is already, kind of proving to be the first use case for quickly getting on board Lightning. And so there are some interesting ways where, games, for example, chess on Smiles, and some other players, and for sure they've been growing a lot, but originally I think retail is going to be bigger. And with time, I think once a really popular game integrates Lightning, you will see kind of an exponential curve, in my opinion. So it's probably a situation like if Fortnite decides to integrate Lightning, or a game of that caliber, that we will see an exponential growth curve for Lightning inside games.
Yeah. And one thought I had on the topic of gaming is, will there ever be a open marketplace where people can like trade back and forth these in-game assets? Like you mentioned a lot about the things you can buy in Fortnite or in World of Warcraft or whatever game it is. A lot of these items are kind of closed in. You can't easily sell them or move them. Do you foresee a time where there is like a marketplace where you can buy and sell in-game items in Bitcoin with the sats you're already earning in different games, and quickly kind of move between different games with those items?
Yeah, so I think there have been a couple experiments where companies were trying to do that. And for sure, I think there will be some marketplaces where they will be trying to build bridges in between all kinds of different games, where users will be able to extract the value or interchange it for value in another game. And in my opinion, Lightning could play a huge role there. So of course, there are other in the whole broader crypto space, there are other specific projects working in that kind of problem thinking. So they're trying to solve that problem. I think Lightning is just universally great, and it has clear value because it's Bitcoin. It is Bitcoin, so you don't have to explain people, what's the value of a Bitcoin versus what's the value of a new, in-game coin, which you can then trade on an exchange and then maybe get Bitcoin depending on the liquidity. So with Bitcoin, that's not an issue. You have real value, and people know that. So Lightning will play a significant role here as well.
Yeah, it makes sense that if there is going to be a marketplace, it should be denominated in sats, especially if every gaming company is rewarding sats for their users. And if that's going to be do you think that's going to be the main currency in the gaming world? Because I know there's a bunch of stuff happening on other chains. There's the Axie Infinity has their own thing. There's a few other gaming projects out there. Do you think Bitcoin and Lightning will come to own gaming and kind of like dominate?
I think it will be maybe the dominant, but one of the most dominant players for sure. The thing is, from the perspective of the company, they're actually not always, trying to make something universally available and great for everybody. So they actually tend to focus on bringing the users in and locking them, trapping them in the ecosystem. So you will never actually, go out and change for something else. And that's kind of the incentive for companies. But I think once companies see that actually users will love to use the product because they earn real value, Bitcoin, once they can see that this is a feasible business model, they will actually do it. And obviously, Jack has been leading with, on the social media side, where you have basically a direct Lightning integration with Twitter and Cash App right now. So because this is proving to be working, people are tipping and sending sats on Twitter. Games will see, or big game players obviously are watching very closely, and we'll see that that's something they should definitely look at and maybe integrate.
Yeah, it strikes me as like a really important feature to have interoperability. And it doesn't seem like the rest of the kind of crypto gaming or even traditional gaming system has figured that out, how important interoperability could be. Mm-hmm. But it seems definitely like something Bitcoiners are pioneering. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out.
I agree.
Okay, I want to transition to talking a little bit about retail and the ways in which Lightning is important to retail. Because in gaming right now, it's you can earn sats for playing games, but in retail, there's a few different angles you can take here. The other day I guess a couple weeks ago, I had John Carvalho on for episode 8 of the Kevin Rooke Show. He was talking a bit about enabling gift tokens on Lightning. Kind of like gift cards, but on Lightning, fixed redemption tokens that could be issued by merchants on Lightning. You guys already have rewards on Lightning. Square or Blocks, I guess is now called. They have all these merchant terminals, point of sale, right? And we just saw yesterday Cash App integrated Lightning.
Yeah.
I imagine it's not going to be far or much longer before the payment terminals for all of the Blocks users, Blocks merchants, before they can integrate Lightning. And then there's a whole new use case for Lightning. Like what do you think about that whole retail opportunity for Lightning? What do you think the most important component is?
Yeah, in my opinion, this is huge. So once I saw the news that Square decided to integrate Lightning into their terminals, I think this will be one of the pivoting moments, one of the most important things which have for sure happened recently. But that's mostly US. So you will have similar players in Europe, obviously watching very closely, and they see this is viable, and I think it will prove out to be very, very important. They will integrate it as well, and because once people transact with money, they're kind of used to receiving some kind of credit card rewards, even though it's not much. It's something they're used to, and because this is so closely connected at the point of purchase, I think players will basically want to integrate it where they can. And it will be completely normal to get Bitcoin cashback on your purchases. And obviously over time, Bitcoin will gain more value, and the value will be very clear to users. It won't be something where they have to guess what's the worth of my airline miles, what's the worth of Starbucks points or this credit card. It's very clear. Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. So in my opinion, this is going to be important. And over time, it's going to be growing tremendously once European players and global players are going to be integrating Lightning at point of sale.
Yeah, and at that point, I guess much of the value is being stripped away from Visa, MasterCard, other payment processors, and that's kind of going to be the opportunity, that 2 or 3% fee. Do you think that's roughly correct?
Yeah, I think that's roughly correct. You also have, I think, with Smiles. So one of the things we are thinking about is, how can we get to move people to retailers, and so they can collect sats at physical locations. So naturally, for example, you could, let's say Starbucks, for simplicity, could put 100 sats or something like that, a coupon inside if you walk with Smiles and claim it there. And once you're inside Starbucks, maybe you'll also grab coffee. And that's where they will actually make money. So you can incentivize people to actually go to a location with a very tiny incentive in Bitcoin. And I think, in my opinion, the first big use case around that was not with Bitcoin, but the first real one we saw was Pokemon Go, where I'm not sure if you know that, but at the peak of Niantic and Pokemon Go, Niantic was getting $1 million a day by McDonald's just to lure customers to McDonald's locations. So they were placing the Pokemon arenas, close to McDonald's locations. People would go there, and obviously because they're collecting the Pokemons, why not actually also buy a Big Mac, right? So
wow,
that's
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, that can be transformational. So if with Smiles we'll be, we're really working hard on that. Putting sats at physical retail locations so we can lure customers inside, Bloomingdale's or Starbucks or a gym or something. Then, as a self-serve platform, businesses will just place the sats inside their stores. Smiles users will come, grab the sats, and maybe buy something.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. And I imagine there's probably applications outside of retail too, for getting people to gather. I imagine there's people that would want to pay for that in some capacity, right? Like, if I have a sports event and there's no fans at the stadium and I want to incentivize fans to show up, I imagine you could do something similar to that too, eh?
For sure, yeah. We thought about that and we're working on that. But maybe in the beginning, the first use case will be retail, because that's very clear. People want to shop physically as well. Try out jeans or buy a coffee. And so we will try to position sats on a map, and users will be able to walk towards their sats and maybe grab a coupon inside the store, buy something, but the intersection here is very clear. And events or any other big gatherings or even smaller gatherings, you can incentivize people just to appear in a place with small amounts of Bitcoin.
So are you guys going to be making a full kind of like AR push, or is that just like using GPS tracking where they are and sending sats to them?
Yeah, so that's going to be further down on our roadmap for later of 2022. But so we've already done significant research into how we can position sats, and so we inside Smiles we call it Bitcoinverse already, where you are basically you're walking with Smiles, and then you discover that you can earn some sats if you're just stopping by McDonald's or Starbucks, and that's on our roadmap, but it is further down the road. So you have to stay tuned for that.
That's fair.
All right.
Okay. I want to chat a bit more about Lightning specifically. Mm-hmm. We touched on this a couple times. Cash App in the US yesterday announced their Lightning integration. How important do you think that is to the Lightning ecosystem? Like, do you think that in the next month or two, we're going to see this like a new wave of users? I know a lot of companies saw increased adoption when El Salvador came online. Do you think this has a similar effect? Because I think I was looking online and I saw about 36 million users of Cash App. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's going to be, they're all going to be kind of onboarded onto Lightning? How important is this milestone?
Yeah. So in my view, it's going to be many moments like that. This is a very important moment, but this is one of the many moments which will be followed by other companies. So I think there will be a wave here and a wave there, and just because Cash App or Square rolled this out now doesn't mean that everybody is onboarded instantly. So people will start to discover it, and so which is great actually. Inside Cash App, you can very easily buy Bitcoin. And over time, you will see increased adoption. So first, people will look at it, and once they try it out for the first time, you will. So I think the growth curve won't be actually exponential immediately, but rather slow in the beginning and then kind of go up, accelerate very quickly. So
kind of like an S curve.
Right.
Interesting. Who do you think the next company will be? Because you mentioned a few others.
So let's see. This is also interesting. I think because Twitter and Square, just because of strong leadership, has proven that Lightning can be easily scaled to huge amounts of users. Obviously, other social apps are looking at that, right? So you have obviously Instagram, Snapchat, and other players, and they're all obviously looking at how can they make it very easy to send micro incentives or micro payments inside the app. And I hope that's one of the big social apps. If Facebook would do it, I know they have their own crypto project inside, but if they would enable Lightning, and this would be, in my opinion, huge. And the more retailers will actually accept Lightning or give Bitcoin Lightning rewards, maybe through Smiles, then that will also for sure, help the adoption and make Lightning scale to hundreds of millions of users.
Yeah. When you mentioned Snapchat, I could totally see them like crushing that AR component.
Right.
Of, just their AR tech is just seems to be light years ahead of everyone else. Mm-hmm. And I could totally see them doing that. I think that's my dark horse for prediction of like who the next major company will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would pick Snapchat.
It's also a younger community, so people are already used to Bitcoin and crypto. So if Snapchat will do it, I think it will be also transformational.
100%. All right, that's hoping for that in 2022.
All right.
What are your favorite kind of Lightning apps to use right now? Yeah, curious to hear your thoughts on that.
So outside of Smiles.
Yeah.
So that's also interesting because I like to even my friends, not everybody is on board Bitcoin, and even though you explain it to them, etc., so they still think it's not a real thing or something. They read news where it says Bitcoin's going to crash, etc. So one of my favorite things is actually to show people how Lightning works. So I just if they don't have a Lightning wallet, I just take their phone and install Blue Wallet or Wallet of Satoshi, send them 20-month sats. All that takes 1 minute, and usually like, what? I'm a Bitcoiner now? That's crazy. And so that's been pretty fun. Then I recently tipped a barber shop in Kiev in Ukraine with Bitcoin Lightning, and they're like, oh, that's amazing. I didn't know that's possible. So that's one of my favorite things to do, to actually tip people with Bitcoin. And I think that's been great in terms of. So for me, the Lightning wallets are kind of the best entryway to show people how quickly and easily it is to actually use Lightning. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm using personally too.
What do you think? What do you think is in the larger Lightning ecosystem? What do you think some of the things that are holding us back are? What do we still need to solve for? What is not quite good enough for most people yet?
Yeah. So I think, for example, we at Smile saw that pretty quickly because we just onboarded many first-time Bitcoiners and for sure first-time Lightning users. We had to explain which Lightning wallet to download, how to show how it uses, how it connects to Smiles, etc. So one of the main things was basically to make it simple to withdraw sats from Smiles, and that's where we saw, that's where we saw people actually, in the beginning didn't know what to do, people outside of Lightning, and so one of the things, maybe there will be something like unique usernames where people will be able to very simply, like on Cash App, very simply send sats to one user. And it might be even within the company. So where actually, Lightning isn't touched, but it stays on the company level. That's one part. And the second part is sometimes it still feels too technical because users, they hear not your keys, not your Bitcoin, etc. So they have to. There's the LN URL site, which isn't, you have to create an invoice, etc. So people actually have to learn how to do that stuff. And on the surface, it still looks a little bit technical. So, for example, if you would try, or I would try to onboard, our grandparents or something, that wouldn't be such a smooth process. And I think once we make it as simple as, you push a button and the other user receives sats, without showing all the technical stuff, that will be important. Maybe that's one of the things which still is kind of holding Lightning a little bit back.
What do you think about Lightning addresses? Like, do you think that's something that could solve that issue? Like, for example, if I had like Kevin at smilesbitcoin.com, mm-hmm. and I can send and receive through that address, and I can send it to, Daniel at smilesbitcoin.com, right?
Yeah.
I can just move money through these Lightning addresses. Do you think that solves the problem you were just mentioning?
It could be. So it could be maybe there will be one player which will aggregate everything under one username and manage all the technical stuff. So users will actually never come in contact with. Maybe they just connect everything to this one app, and that app will manage all the different Lightning wallets. And if you want to send something, you send it to that username instead of a Lightning address. And because it just looks nicer to the human eye, it's your username, you're used to that. For people, that's going to be pretty simple, in my view.
Yeah, abstracting it away and getting rid of long invoices, I think, no matter what, is going to be a important step.
Yeah.
I can barely keep track of invoices myself, and spending all day in the space. So
right.
Can see how that's an issue for users.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's wrap things up and chat a little bit about the roadmap for Smiles, mm-hmm. and what some of the things you're most excited about in the next 6 to 12 months are.
Right. So the most important feature for now we will be rolling out the user-to-user challenges, where you are competing with your friend on steps and sats, who's earned more sats, who's walked more steps, and that will increase stickiness of our app. And we think that users will actually really enjoy this feature. I'm really excited about that feature. And further down the road, because I mentioned already the Bitcoin verse we will be building, where we will be placing physical sats at store locations. So I'm also hyper excited for that. So all in all, I think it will be a very busy year for Smiles. It's just that we have to get back to building and roll out feature by feature and see what our users say.
Cool. Where can people find more about you?
So on me, specifically, so on Twitter, it's at Dan Berezovsky, and Berezovsky is Berezovsky. For Smiles, it's at Smiles Bitcoin and smilesbitcoin.com. Everywhere else on all social channels, it's Smiles Bitcoin.
Awesome. Really enjoyed the conversation, and all the best for a big 2022. Can't wait to try out the challenge feature. I think that'll be a cool one.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. Welcome
to the lightning round. This is your opportunity to send in your best questions, your best comments, anything you want to say on the show. If you want to suggest potential guests for future episodes, you can do that too. Or you can send in some sats, just plain and simple, if you want to support the show. Open up a Lightning podcasting app, fire them off. Fountain's my favorite, but there are lots of them to use. This week we had a record number of comments come in. Looks like we got 4 comments in. First one comes in from Peter, and Peter has 2022 predictions, which I asked for in the last show. He's got 3 of them. Prediction number 1, Jack Dorsey continues to impress us. He's off to a hot start so far because, as some of you already know from this episode, Jack Dorsey and Cash App have made a Lightning integration on Cash App. I think it'd be really cool to see if they also integrate merchant payments, like in the next few weeks and months. I don't see why not. I think that'd be pretty cool. But I agree. I think Jack Dorsey will continue to impress. He's also working on Bitcoin mining ASICs. And now that he's got all this free time not working at Twitter, I think we will see a lot more of Jack Dorsey. So that's a great prediction to start off. Number 2, several major banks dip their toes in. I think that could be... I think we're about ready for that. I think with Bitcoin ETF still on the horizon, maybe this is the time for a bank to take the first step. We've had Mass Mutual take Bitcoin on their treasury. They're an insurer, but they kind of operate like a bank. They're very conservative in that sense. I could see some banks buying Bitcoin, holding on their balance sheet. Maybe through a Bitcoin ETF if we get approval. Maybe just spot Bitcoin. Who knows? But I like that prediction. Number 3 is price break 6 figures. I also agree with that one. I think it happens this year. I said that last year, but I think it happens this year too. Thank you for sending in the stats, Peter, and thank you for the questions or for the comment. Mary Oscar sent in a comment. He said test and sent in 110 sats. Mary Oscar, I received the test. Thank you for the sats. Verbericha said, really nice episode. I love Bitrefill's product. Let's build the Bitcoin and Lightning economy. Thank you for sending in the comment, and thank you for the sats. Bitrefill is great, and if anyone has not listened to episode 10 that I did with Sergey Kotler, give that one a listen. They're building some really cool stuff, especially in El Salvador. Bobby also sent in a message. He says, yo, testing. Sent in a couple sats. Bobby, got the test. Thank you for the sats. And I look forward to seeing all of your questions and comments for next week's show in the lightning round.